And there's a lot of houses in New Mexico that was built way back then, but most of them are haunted. You cannot live in them. They got ghosts.
Why do you think they're haunted for?
Huh?
Why do you think they got haunted?
Because the people used to die in the house. And if a person dies in the house, and he's got a lot of people had money, because we didn't have no banks then. I had my mother's uncle used to raise a lot of cattle, and he used to live in one of those houses there, raise a family, and so they used to hide the money in the house. They didn't have no place to take it. So every year, I'll never forget, every year they used to have a bunch of people, buyers, used to come over and buy the cattle, whatever they want, whatever you want to sell. My grandfather used to average 150 head of cattle that he used to sell every year. So he made pretty goddamn good money, you know. Now, I don't know what the hell he did with the money. There was no banks. Okay, so
Well, the whole area was known for houses that got haunted, all around a certain area.
Almost all of them, yeah.
Right.
Up and down Mimbres Valley. I can take you, and in fact, one day, Gene and I went to New Mexico to visit cousins. And we used to go over down there, but Gene used to love to go to New Mexico and visit those Indian pueblos.
Yeah.
Where they make a lot of turquoise and all the bullshit necklaces. She bought a lot of that stuff. So anyway, we used to start driving in New Mexico, drive all the way up to Albuquerque. And anyway, one day, I was visiting this cousin of mine, and his brother was building a house pretty close to the haunted house. So I told him, I says, you know what, you should tell Sammy not to build a house that close to that, because their house is haunted. You cannot be close to it. He says, so Daniel says, you know what, I don't think I believe in that. I said, okay. After a while, after we finished the area, he said, we're going to go down there and I'll prove to you. So my brother Ernie happened to be there too. That's Ernie over here in the Army uniform in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That's Ernie.
Right.
It just so happened he and his wife was there at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So Ernie and I and Dan went over there because I wanted to prove to them that the house was haunted.
Yeah.
And it was a pasture, the highway, a road, and there was a pasture, and there's some horses there eating grass and stuff like that. And then there was the house there. So we went there, and we were standing there in front of the house. And I said, you guys just wait. So you'll find something. You know what? All of a sudden, they got their house started shaking.
Were you inside the house or outside?
No, we were outside. Look at the house, about, say, 20 feet from it.
Yeah.
Or probably a little further away.
Yeah.
We were standing there talking about ghosts and stuff like that. All of a house, that house started shaking. It was shaking just like that there. And you know what? Those horses, they tore ass. Boy, those horses, it scared the hell out of the horses. And then, at one time, they must have had some electricity, because they had a pole with the wires leading to the house.
Yeah.
You know, those wires were going like this here. You know how they were stretching and getting loose, because the house was going just like this here. And that went on for about 3-4 minutes. It scared the hell out of them. I made a believer out of my.
So this was your old neighbor's house, would you say, or?
It used to be. In fact, my mother was born in that house.
Okay, so you knew about that house, huh?
Oh yeah, it was an old farmhouse.
Was it adobe too?
No, it wasn't adobe. No, it was just heavy. At that time, they used to use 1 by 12s, and that lumber was an inch thick. It wasn't 3/4. Nowadays, you could buy a board. They say 1 inch by 12.
Yeah.
It isn't 1 inch; it's 3/4.
Right.
At that time, it was 1 inch. It was real thick lumber.
Right.
And that's what they used to build all those houses like that.
Yeah.
Not all the houses were built out of adobes.
So if you went in that house, what would be in that house? Like furniture still, or would it just
hell,
be
there was nothing. It was empty.
It was just empty house, and it was
Yeah.
shaking like that, huh?
It was empty. And there was a lot of houses like that. People...
And would you say the land...
People start seeing ghosts and stuff like that after somebody died. So they moved away.
Right.
They moved. They built another house or something like that. My dad. That's what my dad did. So anyway, let me tell you about the. We went back to New Mexico to live there. We didn't have no place to stay, so my dad decided to stay in this adobe house I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And he was going to build. He had talked to my uncle Randall to help him build a house right away as soon as he could, because my dad had an idea that was haunted, and I think my mother did too. So anyway, we moved there because we didn't have no place to stay. You know what? Right away, my mother had a pretty good sized mirror in the wall, and every morning she would get up there to brush her hair, comb her hair, and she would see this lady right behind her.
And the lady looked weird, or
Well, the lady looked like a lady, dressed in white.
so she was pretty, or she was.
Well, she didn't go into the detail, but it scared the hell out of you. But since you see somebody standing behind you, you're not gonna pay much attention what the hell she looks like. Right away, my mother put a lot of pressure on my dad
Yeah.
to stop building a house as soon as you can.
Right.
So anyway, he built one. Right away, they bought enough lumber. But as soon as they finished the kitchen and a bedroom, we moved into that goddamn house. Because and then we had to wait until my dad added a couple more rooms to it. L-shaped house he built, which was pretty nice. He and my, okay, so then.
So let me ask you a quick question though about these houses, real quick. Let me interrupt you for 1 second. When that house started shaking, the house that was made out of lumber, it was a sturdy house, you're saying, and it started shaking. Was the ground shaking around you, or just that house?
No, it was just a house.
Just the house. So
Just-
you know it was not an earthquake.
There was no
something
hail,
weird.
no, there was no earthquake.
And the second question I have is the adobe house where your mom would see the spirit or the ghost behind her in the mirror. Do you remember having bad feelings in that house? Like feeling like depressed or like just heavy? Or
You know
just
what, let
that
me tell you.
ghost that would spook
Let me
you?
tell you, I was only 2 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't remember anything way back then, except my mother used to tell us about this ghost. So when we moved to a new house,
Uh-huh.
and I was probably about 9, 10 years old, a lot of times after supper, we didn't have no television, we didn't have no radio, so nothing to do. You have dinner.
Right.
And usually you go outside, and then my dad had some benches, we'd sit down there and listen to them talk about stories and crap like that. And I swear that almost every night, while we were there in the house, we were just about half a block away from that old house. I would say a block away. We would see this lady walking around the house. Well, you know what? It was a silhouette.
Right.
We didn't see her face or anything like that. It looked like she was dressed in a white gown, a real long white gown. And a lot of times we thought it looked like smoke.
Right, like
A
cloud or
cl- a
smoke.
cloud.
Right.
Like a cloud going around the house.
Right.
Okay, so anyway, when we moved out of the house, my dad used to use that old house for storage.
Right.
What he did, see, as I told you a while ago, we didn't have no refrigerators and stuff like that. In the wintertime, it's real cold. So what my dad used to do, after we moved out, he used to have had a lot of straw on the floor of the house because it had a pretty good sized living room with a fireplace. So he would put all that straw on the floor, and then he would pick some corn and fruit, apples that we used to like, and everything like that, pears. He used to put it all there on the straw, and then he would have some new straw and he cover them up. That way they won't freeze, because we didn't want that corn to be frozen, and also the apples or whatever we ate.
Right.
So I swear to God, one day we decided. I took three of my brothers, and they were real young, Joe and Ernie and Eddie was 2 years younger than me. We decided to go get some apples. So we went on there and we started digging for the apples, and all of a sudden there was a horrible noise coming out of the fireplace. Like somebody was dying. Oh, it scared the living hell out of us. And not only that, let me tell you before I finish this story. Uncle Frank used to live across the street, across the way, across the river. And he used to have a female dog. And she got a heat, and she got pregnant from a coyote. So when she had little puppies, my Uncle Frank asked me, he says, Frank, would you like to have a little dog? I said, oh, sure, I love it, because we used to go down there and visit Uncle Frank a lot because he was a real good uncle. He would hitch a wagon with a couple of horses, and he would take us to buy us ice cream. He was a terrific uncle, you know. It's the only time we used to get ice cream. Anyway, when they had the little dog, we got it, you know, and our name was Sporty. Sporty was his name. And he grew up to be a wonderful dog, boy. He was always with us, wherever we went. So that particular day, he was in the house there with us, you know, digging the fruit. He was standing by, you know, he would always stand by. And he heard that noise, and boy, he went crazy. Because he wasn't afraid to fight anything. He was really a
part coyote, that's interesting.
He was like a coyote and also a dog.
Yeah.
But he was great. He acted like he really loved us.
Right.
He was always with us. Once we got up, my dad had fixed a little place for he stayed because my mother never allowed a dog in the house.
Right.
My mother always used to say animals belong outside.
Right.
So Sporty was born and raised outside there on this little deal. So anyway, Sporty was always with us. And that particular day, boy, he just about went crazy. He wanted to climb up the fireplace to get to.
Right.
You know, he got so scared. I don't know if he was scared or mad or what. His fur stuck straight up about this much, all over his body.
What was the noise? It would sound like a person making a noise?
Yeah, like a person dying.
Like it sounded
real loud.
Yeah.
And boy, Sporty went crazy. He was trying to get up that fireplace. And we ran outside because scared the hell out of us and was trying to get Sporty to come out with us. No, he didn't want to come. He wanted to stay out there and get whoever was making that noise.
Yeah.
I had to go over there and drag him out. And when I drag him out, I noticed the boy, even he still was standing up. I mean, the boy, he was scared to death.
Yeah, that house was haunted, huh?
Oh, hell yeah, it was haunted. We saw a lot of different things in that.
Do you remember anything else, or those are the two stories that stand out?
That was the one story that really reminded me because it scared the hell out of us.
Yeah.
But we used to see that lady going across and stuff like that, so we know it was haunted.
Right.
And it wasn't the only house that was haunted. There was a lot of adobe houses, old houses in New Mexico, because you know it was mostly farmland.
Right.
And so there weren't too many houses. But the real old ones where people used to live there when they first homesteaded their property, they would build those houses out of adobe. And they were pretty nice houses, you know, but when somebody got pretty old, like me now, and you kick the bucket, and nowadays, if you get pretty sick, they call the doctor and they put you in the hospital, right?
Right.
At that time, we didn't have no doctors there. There was only one doctor in Silver City, which was 40 miles away. So people used to get sick and die. I had one of my grandfathers, my mother's father. He stepped on a rusty nail. He was a farmer and walking around, and he didn't notice it, but there was a damn board with rusted nails, and he stepped on one of them. And he got his foot infected, you know, and you know he died from it. It killed him.
And that was around the same area as these haunted houses were?
It was in that haunted house they were talking about.
What happened after all those houses emptied out and Mimbres Valley was...
Well, when they emptied out, they would still stay there.
People would still stay in Mimbres Valley?
No, there was no people living there.
No people living there. And so at some point, people did move in there, would you say?
And they would move out pretty soon.